Here we are, playing the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in the state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Our family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick the code, stop for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the segment, power back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, that be on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr Boyce TV.
Hey, what's happening, Black people? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School. Good morning, Tracy. I see you in there, and I want to say hi to everybody else. Give me 1 second. I'm letting the rest of the tribe know that we are here, that we're live, and we're about to have a really deep, important conversation. Just so you know, the conversations here are not the same as everywhere else. Anywhere in mainstream media, actually. I like to think that we can go harder and deeper and be unapologetically Black and speak up for what we want to, what we really want to say, and not have to kowtow to anybody. Do me a favor, shout out your city, whatever city you're from. Also, do me a favor as well and hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do that. That's really important so people can come into the conversation. The thumbs up button and the notification bell, those are both really important. So yes, I am still in Arizona. I'm in not Tucson. I'm actually in, somebody said Tucson. I'm actually in Sedona. I'm going back to Phoenix. I got family there. So this is a little getaway for us. But in next week, you guys know, I'll be in New York City. If you want to come to our event in New York City, you can go to drboycenewyork.com. Get your pass. If you want to get a pass online, because they're cheaper online than they will be at the door. And there may not even be any passes at the door. Also, last but not least, I mentioned to you guys that I think I'll be on the Breakfast Club this week. We're having conversations back and forth, trying to negotiate, trying to figure out if the time schedule works. If it works, I'll be on there, and we can have a great conversation, because there's a lot of stuff I really want to talk about. I love talking about, some of the stuff going on in hip hop with money, and some of the dumb shit our celebrities are doing with their money. So it's always an interesting discussion. Okay, so I see Joshua from Tupelo, Mississippi, Robert from Dayton, Nanette from Chicago, Joseph from Raleigh, Boss Mac Topsoil, salute to you too, brother. I see you. Raquel from Oakland, Paula, Weston from Western World. Is that Western World 1? Orland Park? Okay. W. Jones, Pittsburgh. What's going on, Soul Natura? Carl Jackson from H-Town. We had the All Black National Convention there last week. Vicki Dillon was probably the best speaker there. She's probably right there with Killer Mike. Those are the two people I've seen that have spoken, that have done the best job at the convention. They're both amazing people. I have a lot of respect for both of them. So anyway, don't forget, the next convention is going to be next September. It's going to be in Detroit. So start marking it on your calendar. And also, I'll be at the Essence Music Fest, which is way out there, but I want to let you guys know that in advance that that's what we plan to do, so you guys can make a trip out to New Orleans and hang out with us. All right, so let's hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button, please, if you haven't done it. Hit the thumbs up button. Let's talk about what's going on. Okay, so Atatiana Jefferson, Atatiana Jefferson, the poor sister that was shot in her house by the police. We know that the police had no business being in her backyard in the first place. They had no business pointing guns and flashlights into her window. She had every right to defend herself, to defend her nephew, defend her property. And we also know that this, if you really want to really gain something from her sacrifice, if you really want us to grow from this experience, then you need to really sort of analyze policing at its core. They're not going to do this, of course, because they're too stupid. Just so you know, the ideas on this channel are probably about 50 years ahead of their time, because they're not going to do it. They're going to sit here and say, oh my God, what a tragedy. This is sad. Black Lives Matter, whatever, right? Let's beg white people to be nicer to us and all this other shit. But actually, we know that this is a situation that calls for us to address policing at the core. The core means figuring out, like, why are white cops sort of infesting Black neighborhoods like insects? Why are they swarming on Black communities, making money to come in there and kill your babies? I mean, that's where you got to really, that's the question you must ask. Why aren't the police coming from that same neighborhood? That neighborhood, the taxpayers in that community should be able to decide who their police are going to be. There should be a police department in that neighborhood from people that come within a 5-10 mile radius, so they have a stake in that community. That's what that's all about. But anyway, digging deeper into that, though, you've seen recently that, there's sort of this protocol now that sort of takes place whenever somebody gets shot. The protocol is, it's becoming like an industry now. You know, Negro death has become very lucrative for many people. It's become lucrative for the media. It's become lucrative for attorneys. You know, and so at the end of the day, you now have a protocol, right? The protocol is, you know, somebody gets shot. It's another injustice. Everybody gets outraged. It goes viral on social media. Next thing you know, they got a civil rights lawyer standing next to them at a press conference, you know, suing the police department or whatever it is, right? And there's a memorial, and maybe charges are filed, maybe not. Usually the officer gets away with it, right? And the city writes a big check, and it goes on to business as usual. Um, I don't know how I feel about this entirely because I personally, as a person who understands economics, you know, I'm an economics expert. I have a deep issue with the idea of building an economy around Black death, or you know, building an economy around Black tragedy. It's no different from the way the pharmaceutical profession doesn't have, they don't make their money curing diseases. They don't make their money solving problems. They make their money managing problems. They make their money cleaning up a problem until the next problem comes along. They give you one medication, you're paying for that medication, then that medication has side effects. They give you another med and another med and another med. Next thing you know, it's a nice little system, nice little payday, right? Capitalism is a bitch like that. Capitalism does horrible things that way. I know capitalism better than a man knows his ex-wife, and I can tell you, capitalism at its core is a dirty son of a bitch. That's why you go into the grocery store and they'll sell you donuts and chocolate chip cookies at the front of the store, and then sell you diabetes medication at the back of the store. They make money creating the problem, and then they make money cleaning up the mess. They don't make money solving the problem at its core, right? So the same thing is true with policing. They make money creating the problem. They make money managing the problem. They do not make money solving the problem. So they make money. The police make money by bringing white cops into Black neighborhoods. They're getting paid off of that. They get paid. Cops. I know cops. My daddy used to be a cop, 26 years. They make money when they're patrolling your hood. They make money when they lock you up and take you to jail. They make money when they show up in court to testify against you, right? Some of them make money on the side when they robbing the dope boys or whatever, right? You know, because cops are corrupt. They're the biggest street gang in the country. We know this, right? They're not all terrible people. I don't believe all cops are bad. I don't believe that at all. But I believe the system is bad. And I believe there are a lot of bad cops that abuse their authority. And so they make money on the front end, and then money's being made on the back end. You know, in this case, it might be the attorneys that make money next every time a Black person gets shot, and they show up like Al Sharpton, you know, advocating for the family. And it doesn't mean that they're bad people. This is no disrespect to Ben Crump, Lee Merritt, or any of the other attorneys who built their career on these civil rights cases. They've been called to duty, and they're doing a good job. These guys are doing a good job, but it becomes an industry. Don't make no mistake about the fact that that they understand, like, okay, this is where I can go to build my name and build my bank account, right? And so what I'm trying to figure out at the end of the day is who's going to care enough to actually solve the problem at the core. Like, who's going to care enough to kill this industry? Who's going to care enough to make sure that there's nobody that can make money patrolling Black people and killing Black people and going to court for Black people? Who's going to do that? And so with Atatiana Jefferson, there are solutions. I don't think we're ready for the solutions as a society, but they do exist. Now, what's going on with Atatiana's family? This got my attention. You saw an issue where the father, apparently, I don't want to just call him Mr. Jefferson because that sounds like the Jeffersons TV show. But if somebody say his name in the chat so everybody knows the brother's name. I should have his name in front of me. I don't have his name in front of me. But Atatiana Jefferson's father stepped in, so they were going down the standard, black people shooting protocol, right? They were kind of marching down that standard civil rights march path, press conference, memorial service will be held at some big Black church. I think TD Jakes is hosting the memorial service. Now, mind you, unfortunately, TD Jakes is not a real activist guy when it comes to really defending the rights of Black people and really getting out here on the front lines for Black people. But, but he is there in terms of saying, okay, we got a civil rights protocol, the Civil Rights Negro Protocol. So we're going to have the memorial at our church because it's a big church and we want everybody to know that we're involved. And it is what it is, right? No disrespect. It just is. It's very predictable. That's the point. So what I thought was fascinating, though, was that the father stepped in. And I don't even know Atatiana Jefferson's father. For all I know, he could be a crazy man. But for all I know, he could be a decent man. He stepped in and he said, "Skirt, stop it. Stop it. Ain't none of this shit going to go down until I say so." All of y'all, I know y'all marching, and I know y'all holding hands singing "We Shall Overcome" and doing everything Negroes been doing ever since white folks started killing us 300, 400 years ago. But I'm about to change the paradigm right now. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, number one, I am her father. You're not moving an inch without my authority, without my say so in this process. Now, I thought about it and I said, how should I feel about this? Is Atatiana's father trying to be a hater? Is he trying to, throw a wrench in the system? Is he a guy that's just showing up out of nowhere, trying to, is he trying to make money? Like, what's his hustle? What's going on? And I thought about it and I looked at the information. I said, that's a good point. Why are y'all, many of y'all, a lot of us, why do we assume that when this black lady gets killed, that she's only got one parent? You ever get that? Our single parent crisis in the black community is so great that we assume that our children are born in an asexual fashion. We assume that our kids literally are born with one parent, with a mama and no daddy. Like nobody brings up the motherfucking daddy ever. Nobody talks about the daddy ever. Seriously, like really, like I was looking at Antonio Brown. I saw they interviewed his mother, and I'm like, where's the daddy? Who's it? I had to Google and then re-Google and go to the third page of Google to find out who his daddy was. His daddy's Eddie Brown, who was a superstar player in arena football many years ago. So he's got the genetics for a great athlete, right? So I'm like, how come we always act like these kids ain't got no damn daddy? What in the world? TD Jakes all the way down. TD Jakes, Lee Merritt, all these people got to answer these questions. What in the world made you think it was okay to move forward on this young lady's funeral and everything else without consulting her father? What made you think that was okay? So I thought that the father was right. The father was like, no, I'm cutting in right now. I don't care how many millions of dollars you think you're going to make from this funeral service. I don't care how many thousands of people are coming in, how many millions will be watching on the internet. I'm shutting it all down right now because y'all didn't talk to me about none of this. And of course, people got mad. Well, he has no right to do this and this ain't blah, blah. No, he has every right to do that, because if that were your child, how many of you in here right now, say it in the chat, male and female, if your child got shot by the police, like God forbid, I hope this never happens to you, how many of you would be absolutely insulted if they moved on with the memorial and set up the GoFundMe and did all this stuff without your permission? How many of you would be deeply offended if that were to happen to you? How many of you? I see a lot of yeses. I see Melody. I see Majik. I see Sunmur. I see Romal. I see Dakar. I see all of y'all. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Y'all feel what I'm saying? So ain't nothing wrong with what this man did. This man did what any logical parent would do. He'd be like, wait a minute, that's my child. That's my seed. You're not consulting me at all. You're acting like I don't exist. And I really felt something for all the dads out here, all the real dads out here who were written out of the equation involuntarily. That's what they call parental alienation. Did y'all know parental alienation is actually about to be listed in the DSM for psychologists as a form of child abuse? Did y'all know that they're actually getting to the point where they're studying all the fathers out here that are alienated from their children's lives because people want to act like, well, because the relationship didn't work out, we're going to act like you had one parent, that your mama just literally impregnated herself and somehow a baby came out, or she got impregnated by Jesus or some, you got people out here really acting like Jesus can get them pregnant, like Jesus is their man, and the baby came out and there's no man involved and we're not even going to speak of him. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. If you don't like it, then you should have picked somebody else to be the father. If you don't like it, seriously, I can't detach the significance of my daughter's mother, no matter how hard I try. I can't act like, well, the baby came out my penis back 20 years ago. It was really painful. It was hard, but I got myself pregnant. It was hard. I had to put something in my butt to make it happen. Like, no, I can't do that. I can't walk around acting like I gave birth to that child by myself. Her mother was a critical part of the process. So if I can't eliminate the mother from the equation, what makes me think I can eliminate the father from the equation? And if you think it's okay to eliminate the father, but you have an issue with eliminating the mother, that probably says that you have an issue where you've been brainwashed to believe that fathers don't matter in the African American community. There are cultures in this world right now today where you can't do nothing without the father's permission. You can't do shit with that child without talking to the father first. You can't marry his daughter without asking for the father's permission. You can't do nothing with the child's remains without consulting the father. What's wrong with you? There was a time in the black community, before white folks got a hold of y'all's brains through this thing called integration, before they started telling you that you should want to be a white liberal, before all this started happening, there was a time in the black community where you had to go, if you want to date the daughter, you had to sit down with the father, and the father would sit down with you with a shotgun in his hand and be cleaning his gun as he's explaining to you what's going to happen with his child. There was a time where you couldn't do things with a child without the father's permission. And at that time, it was a little bit harder for the R. Kellys to maneuver through the hood and pick up little defenseless 12-year-old girls, because there would be fathers with shotguns saying, you come back around here, son, we're going to have a problem. You ain't got that no more. And that's why you have so many vulnerable people in your communities. It's funny. Everybody want to act like fathers don't matter. And then when something happens, when a child gets hurt or a woman gets shot, everybody's like, well, why was nobody there to defend them? Where were the men? Well, sometimes the men are weak. Sometimes the men run away, but then sometimes the women are pushing the men away. We know that it takes two to tango. Those situations happen all the time, both ways, in both directions. We know that as a community, we decided that men don't matter. That's why so many people thought it was unbelievable that the father would disrupt the plans that the mother and her family had made for this baby, when the reality is that the father should have been a part of that process from the beginning. The father did not work to push them out of the process. The father said, look, y'all all welcome to work together on this. This is wide open for y'all. But they did not reciprocate. They didn't, from what I've seen, they didn't say to him like, hey, we want you involved. But he did actually invite them to be involved if they wanted to participate in the process. But he insisted on his involvement, and I don't blame him one bit. Do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, please hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live on this channel. As you guys know these conversations are not politically correct. I personally believe that this is the only place online where we can break things down in this way. This is actually fun for me, and I think it's interesting to sort of look under the surface and really see what's going on. All right. The other thing too, just a reminder, don't forget, we're going to be in New York City next week. If you want to come to a great investment seminar that's very popular, everybody loves it, you can go to drboycenewyork.com. It's a great time to network with wealth builders, form investment clubs, all these things. We went to London and did the same seminar, and we formed the Black London Asset Acquisition Council, BLAAC. Get it, black. And basically the Black London Asset Acquisition Council is now an investment club, and they're investing together, and we brought them together under the guise of the Black Business School. So we can do that actually in New York as well. So if you want to come out and participate, please feel free to go to drboycenewyork.com. And if you have a Black-owned business and you want to be listed in our directory so other people can find your business, go to theblackbusinesslist.com. That's theblackbusinesslist.com. So we're actually building that directory now because we want to redirect Black dollars into the Black community so we can stop giving all our money away to white folks. So if you know of a Black business or you have a Black business, go register that business at theblackbusinesslist.com. Please do that. All right. The other thing that's fascinating here too is I watched the father's press conference. Thanks to Tariq Nasheed. I saw Tariq Nasheed had posted some of it, and it made me go dig deeper and do more research on it. And one thing that was interesting is they brought up the whole GoFundMe account, and the father's spokesperson. Thank you, Catherine, for your donation. By the way, I appreciate that very much. The father's spokesperson basically said, we don't need a GoFundMe account. There's no need for that. The father had, what are you assuming? Are you assuming he's a deadbeat? He didn't say it like that, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, why would they assume that the father was so ignorant that he wouldn't have an insurance policy on his daughter? Why do we make the assumption that Black families are always unprepared for death? No, there's some Black people that's on top of their shit. There are Black people that are on top of all of their business, that handle their business. There are fathers out here that handle their business. If you are a father or a mother and you handle your business financially, you got your life insurance in place, or you make investments for your kids, or you save money, things like that, raise your hand in the chat. Say something in the chat. If you handle your business, say something in the chat. If you don't handle your business, pay attention to the people that do. I thought it was interesting that that they brought up the GoFundMe account. And one thing that the father was saying is, we don't need your charity. I am not a charity case. I'm not some broken, disabled, ridiculous black man who don't give a damn about his kids. I don't fit your stereotypes, sir. I don't know what stereotype you have in mind, whatever you grab from white people's textbook about what a black man is and is not. I defy all of that. And I need y'all to know right now that my baby had insurance and we can bury her just fine. We don't need your charity. I'll tell you what, I don't know about y'all, but I said, I respect that man. I respect that because, why do I respect it? Well, because see, the thing is, I had a huge advantage that a lot of people may not have. I had a real man in the household. I was raised by a real man. I don't know if anybody else was raised by a real man, but shout him out because unfortunately, when you got men like Pharrell on GQ magazine wearing banana dresses, real men are kind of becoming a rare commodity, right? They're replacing real men with little bitchy boys these days. But I was raised by a real man. And I'm gonna tell you like this: my father would be deeply offended if one of his children were to die and the whole community raised a GoFundMe account, assuming that the family was a charity case. Now, I don't think that was the intention. I'm not saying that that's what everybody assumed when they gave the money, but I'm going to say my father would be like, no, we don't need your charity. We're okay. We're good. Thank you very much, but we can cover this funeral. We got this. So I like the fact that the father made that statement because it really made it clear. I am not a deadbeat. I'm not a bum. I'm not a man who doesn't plan for the future. I take care of my family, at least financially. Now, I don't know what's going on personally. I don't know what's going on emotionally. I don't know why the family split up. I don't know none of that stuff. I'm not going to make any assumptions. For all I know, he could be a man that's made mistakes. I'm sure the mothers made mistakes too. Men aren't the only ones who make mistakes, by the way, right? But I like the fact that he was basically saying, like, look, I don't need y'all's charity. Now, here's the thing. Here's a caveat we must throw in there, though. Just because the funeral is already paid for, that does not mean that a GoFundMe account cannot be beneficial, right? It does not mean that the people who put together the GoFundMe account were trying to be fraudulent in their behavior. I don't think it's fraudulent. I think that the father's spokesperson used the term, they almost made it sound like it's fraudulent to lie to the public and make them think that this GoFundMe account was to help the family when the family doesn't need any help burying the daughter. What the GoFundMe account was for, in my opinion, my theory, if I had to bet money on it, and this goes back to the whole Negro civil rights, dead black people industry that I talked about earlier, how dead black people are now an industry. That's now a profit center, for law firms and things like that. I'm going to be willing to bet that the law firm might have played some part in the creation of the GoFundMe, or in sort of encouraging the GoFundMe or whatever. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying yes or no. I'm not saying this is true. I don't know these things for sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if some of the money in the GoFundMe was going to go toward paying the attorneys. In fact, I would be willing to bet that a substantial percentage of the GoFundMe will go toward paying the attorneys. And that's where it becomes a bit of a mixed paradox, right? Because here's the deal, right? Lawyers have expenses, and these cases should be fought. Right? Cities should be made to pay when somebody like Atatiana Jefferson is shot in an unjust fashion. We need our black lawyers on the front door making this happen, right? We need those attorneys, right? And then those attorneys have bills to pay. You can't expect attorneys, the brilliant guys like Lee Merritt, Ben Crump, and others, to take these cases pro bono when they're trying to keep, when the rents do, right? Because these cases take a lot of time. Sometimes you have to shut down the whole firm and refuse all other cases so you can focus on that one case, right? And I think that's totally fine. Now, what I think needs to happen as well, though, is that there's a concept in finance that we talk about all the time. You guys know I'm a finance professor. I remind you guys of that a lot because some people think I'm just a Negro out here running my mouth. No, I have a real PhD in finance. I wrote a real dissertation that's 150 pages long approximately. You can go read it on the internet. So I know this stuff very well. And there's a concept called transparency that is relevant and extremely important in all situations in which massive amounts of money is being collected for a specific purpose. And in this case, I think that additional transparency is necessary so that the person making the donation can be clear in their mind on what the money is going to be used for. So because here's the problem. If you run into an unscrupulous attorney, not to say Lee Merritt is in this category, I don't know the brother, I don't know him one way or the other. But if you ran into an unscrupulous attorney, they could say, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do what white people do when it comes to charity. Go watch the documentary Poverty Inc. Poverty Inc. is free on YouTube, and it's a great documentary that explains how people will use a tragedy as a profit center. So if you run into an unscrupulous attorney, what they could do is they could say, okay, the whole country's outraged over this shooting. Her face, it generates a certain emotional reaction from people that makes them more likely to want to give to give to the cause, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put her face on the GoFundMe account, and we're going to give people the impression, the implicit impression, that this money is going to help the family, because they're going to make the assumption that because she's a single Black woman, that there must be like starving, hungry children around, or that the family is struggling and her daddy's a deadbeat and that they need the money. So we're going to collect all this money, and then but we're going to make a deal with the family on the backside to say, hey, when 100,000 comes in, about 75, 80,000 is going to go into our pockets, right? And I'm not saying that's always unethical, right? Maybe the legal fees amount to that much, but I think that there should be some sort of transparency, perhaps even some sort of de facto regulation to say, okay, we need to make sure that you're not padding the invoices. We need to make sure you're not charging an insane amount of money because you know so much money is available. See, because here's the thing, universities will do that, right? A university can take advantage of the fact, let's say that you say, this is why I'm not big on scholarship funds. I'm not creating a scholarship fund for my niece. We're not doing that, because here's what can happen, right? If they know that you got money and you got money to burn, then they'll be like, okay, we can charge whatever price we want, and we're going to just take a big chunk of that money. And so you thought you were raising all this money for this noble cause, when really you were raising money to put it in our pockets, right? And so ultimately, I think that the incentives can go badly very easily, and you have to watch out for that, right? So the reason I'm not creating a college fund for my niece is because I don't want to go and save up $250,000 so that she can give it all away to a university that's charging her $15,000 to take one class. I'm not doing that, because a class should not cost $15,000. A class should maybe cost $1,500, maybe $2,000, but not $15,000. So you're not going to get me to go and give you that much money and have you think that because I have the money, you're going to just charge whatever you want. Right? That's how a lot of people get robbed that way. The New Edition, that's how New Edition got robbed. New Edition, they signed the contract because they were so happy to get this record deal. And what happened is the managers and all the agents and the people and all the middlemen basically put in all these fees for themselves. Okay, my manager fee is $3,000 an hour, and my blah, blah, blah fee is this much. And they knew the money was coming because they knew that if they put New Edition on the cover of something, people would pay money for that. So all this money's coming in, they write in massive fees, they're taking the big chunk out, New Edition gets very little. So the same thing is true in many Negro civil rights cases. The victim becomes New Edition. They become Ralph Transvet and Bobby Brown, right? Where their image being put on a label of something draws money in. They use that image to draw money in, and because they've written in massive fees for themselves, they're able to pull a ton of that money out. Right? Do you follow what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? How this hustle can work, right? This is actually outlined in Poverty Inc. If you go watch the documentary Poverty Inc., Poverty Inc. explains how a lot of European corporations and millionaire types use poverty around the world. They use African poverty, third world country poverty, to market that poverty. They take the little pictures of the kids with the flies on their face and the swollen bellies and all that, and they market that like it's poverty porn. That's what they call it. They market that like crazy, like New Edition on an album cover. The money starts flowing in, and then the money comes in, and what they do is they take that money and they say, we spent the money buying children shoes, right? And then what they do is they go over to their homeboy and say, I'm gonna pay you. I'm gonna buy shoes from you to give to these poor kids, and we got to deliver the shoes, or we'll get in trouble. But we're gonna pay you $1,000 a pair for these shoes, right? So basically, it becomes a big hustle, right? So in this particular case, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying any of this is going on with Atatiana Ali. Let's just make that clear. I'm not saying that that Lee Merritt is a crook. I'm not saying that any of these attorneys are bad people. I'm saying that there should be some sort of transparency to understand, if I'm making a donation on the GoFundMe, where is this money going? I don't completely agree with the father's conclusion that the GoFundMe is automatically fraudulent because you remember, lawyers have to make their money too. But I do think at the end of the day, if you create that GoFundMe, you better go talk to the daddy first. You better go talk to the daddy and the mama. Don't go talk to the mama and then go move forward without the daddy's permission, because now the daddy, he's legal. He's filing, not restraining orders, but injunctions and all this other stuff. He's like, no, I will go to court on your ass, and I will make it very difficult for you to move forward without my participation. So you better include me in the process. And I think that's what they need to do. Include the father in the process. If they're smart, I think that they're probably thinking about this. And because if you don't, it's going to make it very difficult moving forward on any level. So long story short, simple idea, something simple that you can walk away with. I agree with Kelly, says team father. I'm team father in the sense that what this really speaks to in a broader level is this idea that in our community, we act like fathers don't exist. We act like fathers don't matter. We look at little kids with their mother and we assume that there's no man at home. A lot of us do that. You know why? Well, because there's a 72% chance that there is no man in the home. This is not a healthy state of existence for your community. It's just not, because the fathers are the protectors. So when you're hearing all these statistics about little kids being killed and molested and everything else, shot by the police and all this other stuff, mothers being shot in their own home and all that, some of that's connected to the missing father. Because I will tell you this, no woman will be shot in my house when I'm there. It's not going to happen, because you're going to have to kill me first. If anybody takes a bullet, it's going to be me. R. Kelly's will not be in our house. Why? Well, because I'll be watching every man that comes in the house and gets around my soon-to-be stepdaughters, right? Like, it's just not going to happen. So ultimately, it doesn't mean, we go back to this idea that a woman can't do things, or that a woman can't survive without a man or anything like that. But I think that when we really run around saying that we don't need no man, men don't matter, I encourage you to flip the language and say, what if I was walking around saying mothers don't matter, or I don't need no woman, right? How would you feel if I said that? It would sound stupid. It would sound ridiculous. It would sound pathetic. The only people that would applaud would be the gay men in the crowd. Yeah, you don't need no woman. Women, we don't need no women around here. Women is competition. Right. That's the only ones who will be clapping, because the sisters will be like, no, you need a woman in your life, because there's so much value we can add. And a smart black man understands that. I'm not saying I can't live and continue to breathe and continue to exist without my woman, but let me tell you what my life would be like if my woman was not in the house with me. Number one, I'd be eating pizza and candy bars every day. I wouldn't be running, so I'd probably be about 60, 70 pounds bigger. I'd probably be getting myself into trouble and dumb situations, because I'd be meeting, because all men, I don't care, heterosexual men, y'all can lie about it, but we all get tempted by a big butt and a smile and put ourselves in situations we shouldn't be in. My house would be a complete mess. I would be eating the worst food imaginable. Like it wouldn't be this, it wouldn't be a healthy life, right? So a woman adds value to a man's life, and the same thing can be said about men, right? So I just want us to have some reciprocity on this, man. Like, seriously, like what's wrong with the community? No community can ever prosper if men and women don't believe that they need each other. You just can't. It doesn't. There's no community in history that I can think of that's ever built a massive amount of wealth that just said, let's cut all the men out of the equation. You can't do that. It doesn't work. All right. So with this particular case, with this father, I applaud him. What he did was symbolic for all fathers out here. I encourage all dads to bogart the process if you have to. If you're doing it for the right reasons, you're doing it because you love your child. I don't fall for this, like, I don't need a man nonsense. You step in. You say, no, you need me, whether you know that you need me or not. And I think that's really what he's actually saying, is that I am relevant. You should include me. I'm important too. This is my child also. I'm feeling this grief. And how dare you sons of bitches come into this space and make all these major moves and act like I don't matter, because that's the biggest damn amount of disrespect imaginable. I mean, seriously, think about this. You got a bunch of men, from the attorney to from the lead Merritts to the TD Jakes and everybody else, all stepping in and making these moves with the mom and excluding the father from the whole equation. You can't come in and make moves with my woman without including me in the process. You don't include me in the process and be like, oh, excuse me, let me step in, right? You're not gonna come in my house and do things with my children and then act like I'm not there, right? But that happens to so many fathers everywhere, where we act like the father's not there. Al Sharpton too. Somebody say Al Sharpton too. Yeah, like at what point did anybody say, hey, does this child have a father? What does her father think? Let's go talk to the dad. Like that. I don't know why nobody did that. Why didn't people do that? You got to think about that, process that. Okay, so I want to say thank you, More Melanin, please, for your donation. I appreciate it very much. The money will be put to good use, I promise you. And so thank you guys very much for hearing me out. I appreciate it. Please hit the thumbs up button before you go. In fact, on the count of 3, please hit the thumbs up button and the notification bell. And after you do one or the other or both, type Black Power in the chat so we know what we all stand for, what we all believe. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Hit the notification bell. The notification bell will notify you when we go live on this channel. I want to make it worth your while. Okay, I see Black Power from Bookish and Yancey and Tanisha and Joseph. Thank you guys very much for hanging out with me today. Once again, I'll be in New York next week. If you want to hang out, drboycenewyork.com if you want to come to that. Number 2, if you want to list your Black-owned business and get in the directory, go to theblackbusinesslist.com. Don't forget the THE, theblackbusinesslist.com. Also, if you want to buy books like Powernomics, you can buy my books, The New Black Power 1, 2, and 3, Black American Money, etc., or books for financial workbooks for your children, things like that. You can go to drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. So feel free to check that out also. So you guys have a great day. I love you. And no disrespect to Lee Merritt or anybody else. Y'all know I just got to tell the truth, but there's no animosity toward any of these guys. I'm very proud of the way they carry themselves in public, and they do great work. But I am going to chime in from time to time and give a perspective if I see one. All right, so you guys have a good day. I'll see you soon. Be good. Peace.